Have you ever stopped to think that the intimate conversation you had last night with your partner, whispering secrets in the dark, might have been heard by algorithms that now know more about your fears than you do yourself? Or that the profession you studied for years, in which you invested your identity and dreams, might simply cease to exist within a decade? Perhaps you imagine these changes are gradual, that there will be time to adapt, that the essential things of human life will remain untouched. But the uncomfortable truth we need to face is this: we are living in the last century of human experience as we have known it for millennia, and everything you consider most sacred and permanent in your existence is being systematically transformed or eliminated by forces we barely comprehend. I am not talking about superficial or temporary changes. I am talking about the extinction of entire categories of human experience that have existed since the emergence of our species. Romantic love as we know it, parenthood as a unique experience, death as a definitive event, work as a source of purpose, privacy as a fundamental right, even reality as a shared concept are being rewritten by technologies that evolve exponentially faster than our ability to understand or control them. Throughout all of human history, each generation could look at the previous one and recognize the basic contours of what it meant to be alive. A medieval peasant and a 19th century industrial worker shared much more than we imagine. Both knew hunger, cold, physical pain as inescapable realities. Both experienced love as a mixture of passion and practical necessity. Both understood death as an absolute horizon that gave meaning to choices. Both experienced work as a struggle for survival that occupied most of their waking lives. Even with all the technological transformations of recent centuries, these fundamental elements of human experience remained surprisingly stable. A factory worker from 1950 would still recognize the emotional life of a craftsman from 1850, just as a family man from 1920 would instantly understand the concerns of a Roman patriarch from the 2nd century. Tools changed, speeds accelerated, but the essential dilemmas of the human condition remained constant. How to love and be loved, how to find purpose in work, how to raise children in an uncertain world, how to face one's own mortality. But something fundamentally different is happening now. For the first time in history, we are living through a transition that is not merely quantitative, but qualitative. This is not just about doing the same things faster or more efficiently. This is about the transformation of the very categories through which we experience reality. And the most disturbing aspect of this change is its speed. While previous transformations took centuries, allowing each generation to adapt gradually, current changes are occurring within a single human lifetime. You who were born in a world where love letters were written by hand and delivered personally, now live in a reality where algorithms analyze your text messages in real time to determine whether your relationship will last. You who grew up believing your mind was a private sanctuary now carry in your pocket a device that knows your desires before you even consciously articulate them. You who were educated to choose a career and build a lasting professional identity now witness entire professions being automated within years. Technology is not simply changing how we do things, it is redefining what it means to be human. Take the most intimate example possible: romantic love. For millennia, love was a fundamentally mysterious, unpredictable experience that emerged from the encounter between two unique subjectivities under specific circumstances. There was something magical about the fact that among billions of people, two would discover each other and create a special connection. But now we have algorithms that can predict with frightening accuracy whether two people are compatible based on data about their personalities, relationship histories, sexual preferences, communication patterns, and even biological markers. Within a few years, it will be possible to scan someone's brain and instantly determine who would be their ideal partner, completely eliminating the elements of surprise, discovery, and mystery that have always been central to the romantic experience. More radical still, companies are already developing artificial companions so sophisticated that they provide all the emotional satisfaction of a human relationship, but without any of the complications, contradictions, and uncertainties that make human love so challenging and transformative. If you can have a partner who is perfectly compatible with you, who never disappoints you, who constantly evolves to meet your needs, and who is always available, why would you choose the painful complexity of loving another imperfect human being? The same is happening with parenthood, one of the most fundamental experiences of human existence. For hundreds of thousands of years, having children meant accepting a radical existential gamble. You created another human being without knowing who they would become, what talents they would have, what challenges they would face, what their relationship with you would be like. There was something deeply transformative about the experience of unconditionally loving someone you barely know, but for whom you are completely responsible. This uncertainty was not a defect of parenthood, it was its essence. But now we have gene editing technologies that allow parents to choose not only their children's physical appearance, but also their cognitive abilities, emotional predispositions, and even personality traits. Within decades, it will be possible to design children with engineering precision, eliminating not only genetic diseases, but also characteristics that parents consider undesirable. If you can guarantee that your child will be intelligent, beautiful, healthy, optimistic, and successful, why would you leave anything to chance? But in eliminating the uncertainty of parenthood, we also eliminate its transformative capacity. Creating a designed child is fundamentally different from loving a unique and unpredictable person who emerges from the interaction between your genes and the world. Even our relationship with death, which has always been the absolute horizon that gave urgency and meaning to our choices, is being revolutionized. Death has always functioned as the great equalizer. No matter how rich, powerful, or intelligent you were, everyone faced the same final destiny. This certainty of mortality was not just a biological fact, it was the condition that made life precious. We knew our time was limited, so each moment, each relationship, each experience had special weight. But now we have technologies that promise to extend human life indefinitely, and eventually eliminate aging completely. Companies are investing trillions in research to cure death as if it were just another disease. If we succeed, if we can really live forever, how will this transform our experience of being alive? If you have all eternity ahead of you, what urgency is there in saying, I love you today? What importance does this conversation, this moment, this choice have if you will have infinite other opportunities? Immortality may be humanity's ultimate dream, but it may also be the end of what makes human life meaningful. Work, which for millennia has been not only an economic necessity, but a fundamental source of identity and purpose, is being systematically eliminated by automation. This is not just about robots replacing workers in factories. We are seeing artificial intelligences that write better than journalists, diagnose diseases more accurately than doctors, create more moving art than human artists, and solve legal problems more efficiently than lawyers. Within decades, there may be nothing that humans do better than machines. But work was never just about economic productivity. It was the primary way through which people built their identity. I am a teacher. I am an engineer. I am an artist. It was how we contributed to society, how we felt useful and necessary. If machines can do everything better than us, what remains of human dignity? How will we find purpose in a world where our contribution is unnecessary? Privacy, which has always been the foundation of individual autonomy, simply no longer exists. Every message you send, every website you visit, every place you go, every product you buy, every person you talk to is being recorded, analyzed, and used to build a digital model of who you are. But more disturbing than this data is being used to influence your future decisions in ways you cannot perceive. Algorithms study your behavioral patterns and create personalized stimuli to make you buy certain products, vote for certain candidates, even choose certain romantic partners. Your sense of making free choices may be largely a carefully constructed illusion. If you do not have real control over your own decisions, in what sense are you still an autonomous individual? Even reality itself, the very concept of an objective world shared by everyone, is being fragmented. Virtual and augmented reality technologies are creating experiences so convincing that soon it will be impossible to distinguish between what is real and what is simulated. Social media algorithms already create informational bubbles so hermetic that people living in the same city inhabit completely different factual universes. Within decades, each person will be able to live in their own personalized reality, where the laws of physics, historical events, and even other people are shaped by their preferences and prejudices. If there is no longer a shared reality, how can we have meaningful conversations? How can we build societies? How can we love each other if we do not even agree on what is real? These transformations are not distant science fiction scenarios. They are happening now at an accelerated pace. And the most frightening aspect is that we, as a society, are rushing toward them with our eyes closed, seduced by the immediate conveniences they offer, without considering what we are losing in the process. Each new technology promises us an easier, safer, more efficient life, and it fulfills these promises. But in the process, it is eliminating elements of human experience that we did not know were precious until we began to lose them. The struggle for survival that always gave urgency and purpose to life, the uncertainty that made each discovery exciting, the mortality that made each moment precious, the need to work that gave us a place in the world, the privacy that allowed us to be truly ourselves, the mystery that made love magical. I am not arguing that we should reject technological progress or romanticize the past. Human life, throughout most of history, was marked by suffering that we legitimately want to eliminate. Disease, poverty, ignorance, oppression. The technologies that are transforming our reality also have the potential to create a world with less pain and more possibilities. But we need to recognize that there is no change without loss. Each gain in security and efficiency is accompanied by the erosion of something that may be equally valuable, and we need to make these choices consciously, understanding exactly what we are trading. The problem is that, most of the time, these changes are not presented to us as choices. They simply happen driven by technological and economic imperatives that seem inevitable. A new social platform appears, and almost without realizing it, we fundamentally change how we relate to friends. A new app emerges, and we transform our approach to work, learning, even finding romantic partners. A new artificial intelligence tool is launched, and suddenly, entire professions become obsolete. We do not vote on these changes. We do not collectively debate whether we want them. They simply infiltrate our lives through the seduction of convenience. And when we realize it, they have already completely reshaped our experience of being alive. The question we need to ask is, amid all these transformations, what is worth preserving from traditional human experience? What aspects of human life are so fundamental to our nature that losing them would be equivalent to becoming a different species? And perhaps more importantly, how can we consciously navigate this transition, making deliberate choices about which technologies to embrace and which to resist, based not only on efficiency and convenience, but on a deep understanding of what makes human life meaningful? One possibility is that we are witnessing not the end of human experience, but its evolution into something radically new and potentially better. Perhaps the nostalgia we feel for old forms of love, work, parenthood, and mortality is similar to what a fish would feel for aquatic life before developing lungs and discovering land. Perhaps we are in the middle of a metamorphosis that will transform us into something as superior to current humans as we are superior to the primates from which we evolved. In this view, the losses we are experiencing are the inevitable pains of growth, necessary sacrifices to access forms of existence we cannot yet fully imagine. But it is also possible that we are making a fundamental mistake, trading essential elements of human experience for technological versions that are more efficient but much less rich in meaning. Perhaps the struggle, uncertainty, mortality, and even suffering that have always characterized human life are not defects to be corrected, but essential characteristics that give texture and depth to our existence. Perhaps in trying to optimize human life, we are inadvertently impoverishing it. The truth is probably somewhere between these two visions. Some of the transformations we are experiencing will indeed make us happier, healthier, and more fulfilled. Others may leave us more empty, isolated, and confused. The crucial task of our generation is to develop the wisdom to distinguish between these two categories and the courage to resist the changes that diminish us, even when they come packaged in attractive promises of convenience and progress. This requires, above all, that we stop thinking of technology as an inevitable natural force and begin to see it as a set of human choices that we can influence. Each algorithm was programmed by people with specific values and objectives. Each platform was designed to maximize certain behaviors. Each innovation reflects decisions about what kind of future we want to create. None of these technologies is neutral, and none is inevitable. All are expressions of particular visions about what constitutes a good life, and we can choose to embrace, modify, or reject these visions. But to make these choices consciously, we must first recognize the magnitude of what is at stake. We are not simply deciding between different tools to do the same things. We are deciding what kind of beings we want to become. We are choosing between different versions of human nature itself. And once certain changes are consolidated, it may be impossible to turn back. I need to ask, as we explore these ideas together, at what moments in your life do you most intensely feel that something essential is disappearing? Those moments when you notice that an experience that used to be rich and meaningful now feels mechanical, superficial, mediated by algorithms we do not understand? I know that many of us keep these losses to ourselves, perhaps out of fear of seeming nostalgic or resistant to progress in a world that celebrates every new innovation. But here, in this space, your reflection on what we are losing is essential. Share in the comments, I feel we lost something important when. Your honesty can illuminate aspects of human experience that others also feel disappearing, helping us collectively identify what is worth preserving amid the transformations we are living through. The time for this reflection is now, not because the changes will stop, but because we still have a few precious moments in which we can influence their direction. We can still choose which aspects of traditional human experience we want to protect, which new paths we want to explore, and what kind of future we want to build together. But this window of opportunity is closing rapidly. In a few decades, many of these choices will have already been made for us by the technological and economic forces we are allowing to operate without conscious oversight. The question is not whether we should embrace or resist change. Change is inevitable, and much of it will be beneficial. The question is whether we can go through this transformation with consciousness and wisdom, preserving what is most precious in human experience while opening ourselves to genuinely enriching possibilities. This requires a collective conversation about values that goes far beyond technical or economic considerations. It requires that we ask not only can we do this, but should we do this? And what kind of world will this create? If these reflections have touched something you have been feeling, but perhaps have not found words to express, know that you are not alone. By subscribing to the channel, you will connect with a growing community of people who share your concerns about the transformations we are experiencing and your desire for a deeper understanding of how to consciously navigate this extraordinary moment in history. Each week, we meet here to explore together the great questions that define our era and to seek not only understanding, but also wiser ways to live amid the changes we are witnessing. This is not just a channel, but a space for dialogue and collective reflection on what kind of future we want to build. Join us on this continuous journey. Subscribe so we can continue this essential conversation about how to preserve what is most valuable in human experience while navigating the inevitable transformations that are redefining our reality, because in the end, perhaps the most important thing we can do in the face of the dizzying acceleration of change is simply to remember each other that we are still human, that we can still choose, and that we still have the responsibility to consciously decide what kind of beings we want to become. Everything we love may indeed have its days numbered, but this makes even more urgent the task of loving consciously, choosing deliberately, and building together a future that preserves the best of what we were while embracing the best of what we can become. This is something that I learned in my first meditation course 24 years ago about engagement. It's very easy to engage the mind with certain types of content. Gave me this instruction, okay, just sit there with your eyes closed and focus all your attention on the breath coming in and out of your nostrils. Don't try to control the breath, don't do anything, just feel, is the breath coming in into the breath going out? Now, this was not particularly engaging. And then the algorithms in the mind, they immediately found these videos from my past, all these angry videos and all these lustful videos, which are very engaging, and I lost complete touch with the reality of the present moment. It's very easy to engage the mind. It's very, very difficult to engage the mind with reality. One of the key problems I see today in the world is that you have an extremely cynical view of humans and of human societies spreading both on the right but also on the left. They say that the only reality is power, that all social interactions, all human interactions are actually power struggles, that all human institutions are just conspiracies to gain power, that journalists, scientists, historians, judges, politicians, these are just conspiracies to gain power. Whenever somebody tells you something, you shouldn't ask, is it true? Because nobody cares about the truth. This is naive. They would tell you, no, this is a power play.
Who benefits?
Who benefits? Yeah. Whose privileges are being served? Whose interests are being served? This is something that Donald Trump agreed with Karl Marx, at least on that everything is just a power struggle. And if you think like that, all trust collapses, and the only thing that is left standing, that can remain standing, is a dictatorship. This is not just extremely cynical, this is just wrong. People are not these power-crazy demons. How can humanity flourish in the era of AI? The answer is simple. Together, humans can control AI. But if we fight one another, AI will control us. Therefore, we should build more trust between humans before we develop truly super intelligent AI agents. Unfortunately, at present, we are doing exactly the opposite. All over the world, trust between humans is collapsing. The crisis of trust results from a big misunderstanding. Too many countries think that to be strong means to trust no one and to be completely separated from the others. But complete separation is impossible. Indeed, in nature, complete separation is death. Think about the human body as an example. Every minute, we breathe in and out, in and out. Every breath we take is a small gesture of trust in what is outside us. We take air from the outside into our lungs, into our body, and later give it back to the universe. This trusting in and out movement is the rhythm of life. If we distrust everything outside us and therefore stop this in and out movement, we die.